There are moments in a year when the sky seems to move according to a rhythm so unusual that even those who rarely pay attention can feel something shifting beneath the surface of their lives. This is one of those moments. If you've been carrying a strange sensation lately, an awareness that something important is approaching even though you cannot yet define it, do not dismiss that feeling. What unfolds today is far more significant than an ordinary full moon. In fact, the celestial conditions arriving on May 31st, 2026, belong to a category of events that astrologers spend years waiting to witness. At exactly 8:45 in the morning, a rare convergence reaches its peak, bringing together a blue moon, a micromoon, and an exact alignment with Antares, the legendary royal star known as the heart of the Scorpion. Individually, each of these phenomena carries weight. Together, they create an atmosphere charged with extraordinary transformative potential. Yet the most important part of this story is not what is happening above you. It is what has already been happening within you. For weeks, perhaps even longer, many people have felt as though they were trapped inside an invisible pressure chamber. Progress felt delayed. Emotions felt heavier. Decisions that once seemed obvious suddenly became complicated. The tension became impossible to ignore. The exact square between Mars and Pluto 5 days ago intensified that sensation, creating an experience that many described as frustration, resistance, or a feeling of pushing against an immovable wall. At nearly the same time, the Venus-Saturn reality check forced uncomfortable questions into the open. Certain relationships, priorities, and expectations could no longer hide behind wishful thinking. Whether you realized it or not, every one of those experiences was leading toward this moment. What makes this so powerful is that pressure never exists without purpose. Before a major breakthrough, there is often a period when life feels compressed. Old structures begin weakening. Familiar patterns stop working. You may have found yourself standing in uncertainty, sensing that a chapter was ending while having no clear view of what comes next. That feeling is not random. It is the psychological signature of transformation itself. The reason so many people have felt suspended between the past and the future is because today's full moon represents a threshold. It marks the point where accumulated tension finally seeks release. However, there is another layer to this story that deserves your attention. Although everyone will experience the effects of this lunation in some form, not everyone will experience it equally. Hidden within the geometry of the current planetary alignments are 3 zodiac signs positioned to receive the strongest impact. For them, this is not merely an emotional turning point. It can manifest as sudden clarity, unexpected opportunities, dramatic breakthroughs, or developments that redirect the course of their lives. The doors opening for these signs have been forming for weeks, perhaps even months, beneath the surface. What appears sudden is often the result of forces quietly gathering momentum long before the visible outcome arrives. To understand why today carries such unusual significance, we must first examine the nature of a blue moon. A blue moon occurs when 2 full moons appear within the same calendar month. While the term often creates colorful imagery, the moon itself does not change color. The true significance lies in the compression of cycles. Normally, a full moon serves as a singular point of culmination, a moment when emotions peak, truths emerge, and energy seeks expression. In May of 2026, that process occurs twice. The first full moon arrived on May 1st in Scorpio, dragging hidden material into the light. It exposed fears, power struggles, emotional baggage, and unresolved psychological patterns. Many people spent the month confronting parts of themselves they would have preferred to avoid. Now, only 30 days later, another culmination arrives. Imagine completing one intense emotional journey and immediately being asked to begin another. That is the energetic reality of this blue moon. It creates an accelerated environment where growth cannot be postponed. Lessons that might normally unfold across several months become concentrated into a much shorter period. The universe has effectively compressed multiple stages of development into a single month, forcing movement where stagnation once existed. As remarkable as that sounds, another unusual feature adds even greater depth to today's energy. This full moon is also a micromoon. It occurs at the moon's apogee, the point in its orbit where it is farthest from Earth. Today, the moon stands approximately 406,135 kilometers away, making it the smallest appearing full moon of the year. At first glance, this may seem less impressive than a supermoon. Most people assume larger celestial displays produce stronger effects. Yet, astrologically, the opposite can sometimes be true. The distance of a micromoon introduces an important psychological advantage. Full moons are often associated with emotional intensity, heightened reactions, and overwhelming feelings. But when the moon occupies this more distant position, its influence can manifest differently. Instead of becoming consumed by emotion, people are given room to observe. Instead of drowning in reactions, they gain perspective. It becomes easier to step back from personal drama and recognize patterns that were previously hidden by emotional noise. This creates a rare opportunity to see reality with unusual clarity. And when truth is preparing to change the direction of your life, clarity becomes one of the most valuable gifts the cosmos can provide. Still, the deepest source of power today comes from a location far beyond the moon itself. At 9 degrees and 55 minutes of Sagittarius, this full moon forms an exact conjunction with Antares, one of the 4 royal stars revered by ancient Persian astronomers. Known as the Watcher of the West, Antares has occupied a unique place in astrological tradition for centuries. Its brilliant red appearance earned it a name meaning rival of Mars, reflecting a color so intense that it resembles a glowing ember suspended in the heavens. Throughout history, Antares has been associated with courage, decisive action, profound revelations, and moments when hidden truths can no longer remain concealed. This is not an energy that supports avoidance. It is not interested in maintaining comfortable illusions. It exposes what is real. It illuminates what has been ignored. It demands honesty where denial once existed. For observers in regions such as Argentina, Chile, Australia, and New Zealand, today's event becomes even more extraordinary. The moon will pass directly in front of Antares, creating a lunar occultation. Elsewhere in the world, the 2 celestial bodies will remain extraordinarily close, separated by less than 1/4 of a degree. The image resembles a shining silver coin placed beside a brilliant ruby in the night sky, creating a visual reminder that cosmic symbolism is unfolding in real time. And this is where everything comes together. A blue moon compressing emotional cycles. A micromoon providing perspective and objectivity. Antares exposing truth and demanding action. Combined, these forces create an atmosphere that does not encourage transformation. It requires it. This is not a gentle invitation from the universe. It is a defining moment that asks you to release what can no longer travel with you into the future. The reason the pressure has felt so intense is because something inside your life has been preparing for this exact crossroads. And as we move deeper into this extraordinary alignment, the true purpose behind that preparation begins to reveal itself. There is a reason ancient astrologers spoke about Antares with both reverence and caution. The moment this royal star becomes activated, it awakens something fierce inside the human spirit. It does not simply encourage courage. It injects it directly into the places where fear has been quietly controlling your choices. It illuminates the gap between the life you have been living and the truth you know you are meant to embody. Under its influence, pretending becomes exhausting. Compromising your deepest convictions becomes unbearable. You begin to feel an irresistible urge to remove every false layer that has accumulated around your identity. Yet throughout history, Antares has carried a warning alongside its gifts. The same force capable of elevating a person toward extraordinary breakthroughs can also become destructive when driven by pride, vengeance, or the hunger to dominate others. The traditions surrounding this star have always emphasized the same lesson. Power without wisdom becomes a weapon turned against its owner. Antares rewards integrity, but it punishes arrogance. It amplifies destiny, not ego. That distinction matters now more than ever. Take a moment and be completely honest with yourself. Forget what you have told friends, co-workers, or even family members. How have you truly felt during the last several weeks? Beneath the surface, beyond the distractions, beyond the routines that help you get through the day. Have you felt trapped between conflicting desires? Have you sensed frustration building with no obvious outlet? Have you experienced moments where it seemed as though every attempt to move forward encountered resistance from forces larger than yourself? Perhaps you have found yourself waking up tired despite getting enough rest. Perhaps your patience has become thinner. Perhaps emotions have been rising unexpectedly, leaving you wondering why everything suddenly feels so intense. Most people immediately label these experiences as stress, anxiety, burnout, or overwhelm. But from an astrological perspective, something much deeper has been unfolding. What many have been experiencing is the culmination of an extraordinary month of cosmic compression. The pressure has not been imaginary. It has been building step by step through a sequence of planetary events that have demanded growth whether we felt ready for it or not. The process began to intensify on May 6th, when Pluto stationed retrograde in Aquarius. Whenever Pluto changes direction, the atmosphere shifts. Pluto governs endings, transformation, buried truths, and the psychological underworld. Its retrograde motion redirects attention inward. Suddenly, the battles are no longer external. The spotlight turns toward the structures, fears, and unconscious patterns operating beneath the surface of everyday life. Pluto retrograde does not ask politely for change. It demands confrontation with what can no longer remain hidden. Then came May 18th. Mars entered Taurus, placing the warrior planet into a sign known for patience, persistence, and resistance to sudden movement. This created a unique tension. Mars wants action. Mars wants momentum. Mars wants immediate results. Taurus wants stability. Taurus wants certainty. Taurus wants proof before taking risks. Many people felt caught between these conflicting impulses. One part of them wanted to charge forward. Another part insisted on standing still. The result was frustration, like pressing the accelerator while the brakes remained engaged. That same day, Venus entered Cancer, shifting emotional attention towards security, comfort, and protection. Relationships became more sensitive. Financial concerns carried greater emotional weight. Many people found themselves clinging tightly to what felt familiar because the surrounding landscape seemed increasingly unpredictable. There was a powerful desire to protect what mattered most, while simultaneously sensing that change was unavoidable. Only 2 days later, on May 20th, the Sun entered Gemini. Instantly, the mental atmosphere accelerated. Ideas multiplied. Questions multiplied. Possibilities multiplied. Thoughts began moving faster than emotions could process them. Many people felt mentally overstimulated while physically exhausted. The mind raced ahead while the body quietly begged for rest. It became increasingly difficult to distinguish between meaningful insight and simple mental noise. Then, the month reached its breaking point. On May 26th, Mars at 5 degrees Taurus formed an exact square with Pluto at 5 degrees Aquarius. Astrologers have long regarded this aspect as one of the most intense forms of planetary friction. It represents unstoppable momentum colliding with immovable resistance. It is pressure meeting pressure, force meeting force. The sensation can feel almost physical. If that period felt suffocating, there is a reason. If obstacles appeared from nowhere, if power struggles emerged, if situations beyond your control seemed to tighten around you, if you felt anger, frustration, or helplessness intensify unexpectedly, you were experiencing the energy of Mars square Pluto, operating exactly as it was designed to operate. This aspect creates conditions where something eventually must give way. It exposes weaknesses. It reveals hidden tensions. It pushes unresolved conflicts to their limits. As if that were not enough, another challenge arrived just 2 days later. On May 28th, Venus in Cancer formed a square to Saturn in Aries. Suddenly, the areas of life associated with love, values, emotional attachments, and financial stability faced a reality check. Relationships built upon duty instead of genuine connection felt strained. Emotional dependencies became visible. Financial structures that lacked solid foundations revealed their vulnerabilities. People everywhere began questioning commitments, expectations, and attachments that once seemed unquestionable. By that point, many individuals were asking the same question: how much longer can this continue? When does the pressure finally release? When does life stop feeling like a constant test? The answer arrives today. This Sagittarius full moon is not merely another lunar event appearing on the calendar. It functions as the energetic release point for everything that has been accumulating throughout the month. It serves as the opening through which compressed tension can finally escape. Sagittarius operates very differently from the energies that have dominated recent weeks. As a mutable fire sign ruled by Jupiter, Sagittarius seeks meaning, expansion, truth, wisdom, and possibility. While Gemini gathers information, Sagittarius searches for understanding. While Gemini explores countless perspectives, Sagittarius asks what it all means. That distinction becomes incredibly important now. The Gemini sun has been scattering awareness across countless details, conversations, and possibilities. The Sagittarius moon gathers those fragments and assembles them into a larger picture. Suddenly, patterns become visible. Lessons become obvious. Connections that once seemed unrelated begin making sense. Where Mars in Taurus created the feeling of being stuck, Sagittarius introduces movement. Where Venus in Cancer encouraged attachment to familiar emotional territory, Sagittarius encourages exploration beyond those boundaries. Where Pluto in Aquarius has been dismantling outdated systems and demanding profound internal change, Sagittarius provides a glimpse of what exists beyond the destruction. It offers purpose. It offers direction. It offers a reason to keep moving forward. Adding even more support to this process, today's full moon forms harmonious trines to both Saturn and Neptune in Aries. This creates a rare blend of practical grounding and spiritual insight. Saturn contributes discipline, maturity, responsibility, and structure. Instead of resisting the revelations emerging now, Saturn helps stabilize them. Neptune contributes intuition, imagination, faith, and deeper knowing. Rather than overwhelming the mind, Neptune softens the delivery of truth, allowing profound realizations to be absorbed more naturally. Yet there is another influence that cannot be ignored. The moon simultaneously opposes Uranus in Gemini, the planet associated with disruption, awakening, innovation, and sudden breakthroughs. Uranus rarely delivers information in predictable ways. Its purpose is to shatter assumptions. It reveals possibilities that were previously invisible. It introduces unexpected developments that permanently alter perspective. Because of this opposition, the truths arriving under today's Antares infused blue moon are unlikely to feel comfortable. They may challenge existing plans. They may disrupt familiar narratives. They may expose realities you never anticipated. but once revealed, they cannot be unseen. The most remarkable part is that when clarity finally arrives, it often feels obvious in retrospect. People frequently wonder how they overlooked something so important for so long. The answer is simple. They were not ready to see it before. Now they are. And as this extraordinary alignment reaches its peak, the focus begins narrowing towards something even more specific. While every zodiac sign receives part of this powerful activation, the rare planetary geometry of late May 2026 creates an exceptional opportunity window for 3 signs in particular. For them, the decisions made during this period have the potential to create leaps so significant that life afterward may look completely different from the life they knew before. As this extraordinary blue moon reaches its peak, the cosmic landscape begins revealing something even more remarkable. Not every sign will experience this energy in the same way. While everyone receives a message from this Sagittarius full moon, 3 signs stand directly in the path of its most powerful currents. Through the combined influence of Jupiter's expansive force, the release of tension created by the Mars-Pluto square, and the precise conjunction between this lunation and Antares, Taurus, Scorpio, and Aquarius find themselves standing at the threshold of life-changing breakthroughs. Years from now, they may look back on this exact moment and recognize it as the point where an entirely new chapter began. Taurus. If the past month has felt like a relentless test of your patience, there is a reason. Ever since Mars entered your sign on May 18th, something inside you has been demanding progress. You have not been interested in quick victories or temporary solutions. Your focus has been on creating something enduring, something capable of supporting your future for years to come. You have been laying foundations, making plans, investing effort, and committing yourself to a vision that others may not even fully understand yet. Yet despite all of that determination, the path forward has seemed unusually difficult. When Mars formed its exact square to Pluto on May 26th, many of the obstacles you had been sensing suddenly became impossible to ignore. Opportunities appeared delayed. Resources seemed inaccessible. Important conversations stalled. Every attempt to gain momentum felt as though it encountered resistance from unseen forces. It may have seemed as if life itself was refusing to cooperate. There were moments when frustration threatened to replace faith. Moments when you wondered whether all the work you had invested would ever produce meaningful results. But what if those delays were never meant to stop you? What if they were preparing you? That is the hidden message of today's Sagittarius full moon. For Taurus, this lunation illuminates the 8th house, the realm associated with shared resources, investments, financial partnerships, external funding, and profound transformation. Symbolically, this is the area of life where dormant value becomes activated. It is where effort begins producing visible rewards. It is where support arrives from unexpected directions. The pressure that built during the previous days was not evidence of failure. It was the accumulation of force before release. Like water gathering behind a dam, the energy had to reach a critical threshold before movement became possible. Now that threshold has been reached. As this Antares-infused full moon unfolds, doors that seemed permanently closed may suddenly open. Financial developments can arrive unexpectedly. Approvals that appeared delayed may finally move forward. Career opportunities have the potential to emerge with surprising speed. Some Taurus individuals may find themselves presented with circumstances that alter their earning capacity in ways they could not have anticipated only weeks ago. More importantly, something changes internally. The fear that there is never enough begins dissolving. The uncertainty surrounding long-term stability starts losing its grip. A deeper confidence emerges, one rooted not in hope, but in evidence. You begin recognizing that what you have been building all along was real. The foundation is stronger than you believed, The vision is closer than it appeared. The material empire you have been patiently constructing begins taking visible form. And once that momentum begins, it becomes increasingly difficult to stop. Scorpio, for you, this story operates on an even deeper level. From the very beginning of May, the spotlight has been directed toward your transformation. The month opened with a full moon in your sign on May 1st, immediately placing your personal evolution at the center of cosmic attention. Since then, the journey has not been easy. As one of the signs ruled by Mars and traditionally associated with Pluto, you felt the tension of the Mars-Pluto square on May 26th more intensely than almost anyone else. The experience may have felt overwhelming at times. Hidden fears surfaced. Power struggles intensified. Old emotional wounds demanded attention. There was a persistent sensation that something inside your life was trying to evolve, while external circumstances seemed determined to hold you in place. You may have felt caught between who you have been and who you are becoming. What makes today's alignment so extraordinary is that the full moon forms an exact conjunction with Antares, the heart of the Scorpion itself. This is not merely a symbolic connection. It represents a rare resonance between your sign's deepest themes and one of the most powerful stars in astrological tradition. It is as though the sky is speaking your language. For Scorpio, this lunation activates the second house, governing personal value, self-worth, finances, possessions, and the relationship you maintain with your own sense of worthiness. The revelations arriving now are not superficial. They strike directly at the core of how you define your value. Many Scorpios have spent years accepting less than they deserved in one area of life or another. Sometimes that appears through relationships where energy flows in only one direction. Sometimes it appears through business arrangements that drain more than they contribute. Sometimes it manifests through internal beliefs that quietly convince you to settle for less than your true potential. Today's Antares conjunction cuts through those illusions with startling clarity. The truth becomes impossible to ignore. If a relationship has been depleting your resources, your confidence, or your emotional well-being, the courage to end it arrives swiftly. If a partnership lacks integrity, its weaknesses become unmistakably visible. Conversely, if a connection is authentic, supportive, and aligned with your highest interests, this full moon can strengthen it dramatically, transforming it into a source of lasting stability and mutual empowerment. Your breakthrough is not simply financial, it is energetic. It is the reclamation of authority over your own life. It is the refusal to allow anyone or anything to determine your value on your behalf. As that realization settles into place, your earning potential, your confidence, and your personal power begin restructuring themselves from the inside out. The universe responds by supporting that transformation with extraordinary force, as though the energy of the royal stars themselves is reinforcing every step forward. Aquarius, your story may be the most dramatic of all. For years, Pluto's movement into your sign has marked the beginning of a profound identity transformation. Few signs have experienced such deep internal change. Pluto's presence in your first house ensures that nothing superficial survives. It strips away false identities. It challenges outdated definitions of self. It demands authenticity at every level. When Pluto stationed retrograde on May 6th, this process intensified. Rather than focusing solely on external changes, attention turned inward. Questions regarding purpose, direction, and personal destiny became increasingly difficult to avoid. You may have found yourself examining your life from an entirely different perspective, questioning assumptions that once seemed permanent. The Mars-Pluto square on May 26th activated your foundational axis, with Mars moving through your fourth house of home and family, while Pluto occupied your first house of identity. This brought deep underlying tensions into the open. Family dynamics, domestic concerns, emotional baggage, and long-standing insecurities all demanded attention. Situations that had been ignored could no longer remain hidden. For a brief period, it may have felt as though your entire foundation was being tested. But today's Sagittarius Full Moon changes the narrative. This lunation illuminates your 11th house, the domain associated with community, networks, future goals, collective support, innovation, and unexpected gains. Of all the houses in astrology, few resonate more naturally with Aquarian energy. As a result, the opportunities emerging now have exceptional potential. What arrives may appear suddenly. A conversation that changes everything. An introduction to someone with significant influence. A network connection that opens doors you never knew existed. Recognition for a creative project that had previously gone unnoticed. A breakthrough involving a long-term aspiration that once felt impossibly distant. The most remarkable aspect is that these developments often arrive from directions you were not actively watching. Uranian energy rarely follows predictable routes. It specializes in surprise. Under the influence of Antares, these opportunities do more than create progress. They encourage bold action. Some Aquarius individuals may feel called toward relocation. Others may experience dramatic career shifts. Still, others may find themselves stepping into leadership roles within communities, organizations, or movements where their voice suddenly carries far greater influence. Your breakthrough is the realization that the future you have been imagining is no longer a distant possibility. It is beginning to take shape in real time. The limitations that once defined your horizon are dissolving, replaced by opportunities that expand what you believe is possible for your life. And as these three signs step into their respective turning points, an even deeper question begins emerging beneath the surface. Why are these breakthroughs happening now, and what larger cycle is quietly preparing to unfold next? For Aquarius, the greatest reward arriving through this extraordinary alignment is not simply an opportunity. It is acceleration itself. What unfolds now has the potential to compress months, and in some cases years, of gradual progress into a single defining moment. Doors that seemed impossibly distant can suddenly swing open. Connections arrive at precisely the right time. Circumstances align with a level of precision that feels almost impossible to explain through logic alone. Instead of forcing your way forward through effort alone, you may find yourself carried by a current larger than your own plans. The universe appears to be arranging pieces behind the scenes, bringing the right people, the right timing, and the right circumstances together all at once. It is less about climbing one rung at a time, and more about discovering that the elevator has been waiting for you all along. But before anyone else assumes this powerful full moon belongs exclusively to Taurus, Scorpio, and Aquarius, there is something important to understand. Antares does not shine selectively. Its influence reaches every corner of the zodiac. Every sign receives a message. Every sign stands before a truth that can no longer remain hidden. The difference lies only in where that truth appears and what part of life is being called into transformation. Aries, the spotlight falls upon your 9th house, the realm associated with higher education, publishing, wisdom, long-distance opportunities, and expansion beyond familiar boundaries. Saturn has demanded extraordinary patience from you throughout this year. At times, it may have felt as though progress was moving at an agonizing pace. Yet the discipline, persistence, and maturity you have been developing are not being wasted. This full moon signals the possibility of significant movement involving studies, legal matters, international opportunities, or a platform large enough to amplify your voice. Antares gives you the courage to stop hiding what you know and begin sharing it with confidence. Gemini, this energy activates your 7th house of committed partnerships and significant one-on-one relationships. The days of uncertainty are ending. A defining moment approaches. Important truths surrounding a romantic partner, business collaborator, or contractual agreement rise to the surface. What has been concealed becomes visible. What has been avoided demands discussion. Under Antares, honesty becomes unavoidable. Some Geminis will formalize important agreements and enter powerful new partnerships. Others will recognize that a connection has reached its conclusion and walk away with complete certainty. Cancer, with Jupiter currently moving through your sign and Venus enhancing your natural magnetism, today's full moon focuses attention on your sixth house of health, responsibilities, daily routines, and work environments. This is a wake-up call regarding the habits shaping your life behind the scenes. You cannot continue giving endlessly while neglecting your own well-being. The message arriving now is direct. Protect your energy. Establish stronger boundaries. Create routines that support your future instead of draining your present. What changes now may appear small, but its long-term impact could be profound. Leo, your fifth house comes alive under this lunation. Creativity, romance, self-expression, and personal joy become impossible to ignore. If you have felt uninspired, disconnected from your passions, or uncertain about matters of the heart, that stagnation begins breaking apart. Antares insists on authenticity. Relationships lacking depth may fall away quickly. Connections carrying genuine purpose can intensify with remarkable speed. Creative projects that once felt blocked may suddenly receive fresh momentum. The universe is asking you to stop performing and start expressing what is real. Virgo, the full moon, illuminates your fourth house, the foundation of home, family, roots, and emotional security. Much of your attention has been directed outward, particularly toward responsibilities and professional ambitions. Now the focus shifts inward. Matters involving family dynamics, living arrangements, property decisions, or emotional foundations demand your attention. Some Virgos may uncover information that changes how they view their past. Others may face significant choices involving relocation, renovation, or investments connected to their home environment. Whatever emerges, it is designed to strengthen your foundation for the future. Libra, your third house becomes energized, bringing communication, learning, writing, speaking, and local relationships into focus. Following the challenges created by the Venus-Saturn square, many Libras have been re-evaluating professional expectations and long-term goals. This full moon introduces clarity through conversation and insight. A message, meeting, or unexpected realization could shift your perspective dramatically. Antares grants permission to speak honestly, establish boundaries clearly, and communicate needs without apology. Your voice becomes one of your most valuable assets now. Sagittarius, this is your moment. Of all the signs, you stand closest to the center of this extraordinary celestial event. The full moon occurs within your first house of identity, directly aligned with Antares. This is a culmination of personal evolution, a shedding of outdated versions of yourself, a recognition of who you have become. The magnetism surrounding you now is difficult to ignore. Confidence rises, visibility increases. The desire to live more authentically becomes overwhelming. You are no longer willing to negotiate away your truth. What arrives now feels like the closing chapter of one cycle and the opening scene of another. Capricorn, your 12th house receives this illumination, drawing attention toward the subconscious mind, hidden influences, unresolved emotions, and self-sabotaging patterns. For a sign known for strength and endurance, there can be a tendency to carry burdens silently for far too long. This full moon changes that. Hidden truths emerge. Emotional weight seeks release. Behaviors that quietly undermine your progress become impossible to overlook. Antares pushes you toward liberation, not through external achievement, but through inner honesty. By releasing what no longer serves you, you prepare yourself for the next major phase of growth. Pisces, the energy reaches the highest point of your chart, illuminating your 10th house of career, reputation, public recognition, and long-term achievement. Saturn has been demanding accountability, discipline, and commitment from you, often without immediate rewards. Now the results begin appearing. Professional milestones become possible. Recognition arrives. Leadership opportunities emerge. The work you have invested behind the scenes finally receives visibility. Most importantly, the success appearing now aligns with your deeper purpose, rather than simply external validation. As powerful as these possibilities are, what happens next depends largely on how you respond during the next 24 hours. Although the exact timing of the full moon varies according to location, the energetic wave is already building. In the Americas, the peak occurs during the hours before dawn, as the moon descends toward the western horizon. Across Europe and Asia, the culmination takes place while the moon remains below the horizon during daylight hours. Yet regardless of geography, the influence is active. This is why clarity matters now. Reflect on what is reaching completion. This blue moon represents the second culmination point within a single month. The story that began under the Scorpio full moon on May 1st is arriving at its final chapter. Ask yourself what has truly run its course. Which pattern no longer belongs in your future? Which attachment has become heavier than the lesson it once carried? Which belief about yourself has quietly limited your growth? At the same time, guard your energy carefully. Antares amplifies everything it touches. Not everyone will navigate this intensity wisely. You may witness people acting impulsively, projecting fears, creating unnecessary conflict, or making reckless decisions. Do not absorb their instability. Their chaos is not your responsibility. Your focus belongs on the breakthrough unfolding within your own life. Most importantly, trust the impulses that continue returning to your awareness. Perhaps you feel called to contact someone. Perhaps a new opportunity keeps appearing in your thoughts. Perhaps there is a bold step you have been postponing despite knowing it is necessary. These nudges are not random. Antares is not subtle. When it points toward action, it does so with unmistakable force. And when truth arrives, do not run from it. The revelations emerging under this full moon may challenge existing assumptions. They may disrupt plans. They may arrive wrapped in circumstances you never expected. Yet they carry exactly the clarity you have been seeking. The discomfort of truth is temporary. The consequences of avoiding it can last far longer. What makes this moment extraordinary is its rarity. The combination of a blue moon aligned with Antares following the exact Mars-Pluto square and the Venus-Saturn square creates a configuration that will not repeat within your lifetime. This is not simply another day on the calendar. It is a doorway in time. And like every doorway, it remains open only briefly. The energy rises, reaches its peak, and then begins moving forward. By June 1st, an entirely different chapter begins unfolding. Some people will recognize the significance of this moment. They will embrace the truth, make the difficult decision, take the courageous step, and move through the opening while it is available. Months from now, they will trace the beginning of a profound transformation back to this exact day. Others will hesitate. They will feel the invitation. They will sense the possibility. Yet fear, uncertainty, or self-doubt will persuade them to wait. And when the opportunity passes, they will remain where they started, wondering why life failed to change. The distance between those two futures is remarkably small. One decision, one moment of courage, one willingness to step forward instead of remaining still. On May 31st, 2026, at 8:45 in the morning, the Sagittarius blue moon reaches its climax. Antares burns brightly. The pressure accumulated throughout the month finally releases. The truth stands fully revealed. The only question remaining is whether you are prepared to accept it. And if you have stayed with this message until now, thank you for sharing your time and attention. If this reading resonated with you, and you would like to continue exploring these powerful astrological shifts together, consider subscribing and becoming part of this growing community. Share your thoughts below, especially if you are one of the 3 signs standing at the center of these extraordinary breakthroughs. Until we meet again, take care of yourself, trust what is unfolding, and stay open to the next message the universe has waiting for you.